Another week? Seems like another country, their currency has either A, been devalued, or B, just not necessarily forcefully devalued, like as in, hey, we're devaluing our dollar today, but just happens. So the market says our dollar's down against the US dollar by such and such, and it's causing major problems in our country. I'd like to welcome you to the next country over the numerous countries I talk about, which, by the way, I choose not to talk about a whole bunch of other countries because I do other videos and I don't want to mention every single country on the face of the earth that the dollar's been devalued lately against the US dollar. But this is our neighbor. We already had the neighbor to the north, already covered them, Canada. Now it's time to cover our neighbor to the south, Mexico. I'm very sad. Peso collapse triggers despair at Mexican border towns. In other words, not the people running businesses in Mexico, but the people running businesses in America on the border towns of Mexico, having the Mexicans come in, buy things. When the Mexican peso gets a cold, Laredo sneezes. Les Norton, head of the Downtown Merchants Association, says, despite the fact that Mexico managed to make MXN shorts out into the alley and execute them earlier this month in an epic franc as in Swiss franc moment, the trend, so to speak, is not your friend here. And this chart goes back, looks like February, March, April, May, June, July. So that's March of 2015 to present. Give you a little clip of that. And it looks like it was 15. I'm assuming this is, USD, Mexico. $15, $16, $17, $18, $19, and it just recently crept back to 18. But in other words, it costs 15 Mexican dollars or pesos for $1 US dollar. Then it was 16 for $1 US dollar, 17 $1 US dollar, 18, 19. How would you like to have your currency devalue by that much? Now you're talking 15 to 19. Actually, it looked like at one point it was almost touching 20 for a split second. 15. 5 more dollars is 20. You're talking, gosh, 15 bucks. That's more than a quarter. It's actually a little more than a quarter percent, 25% difference, right? Would that be 10, 15, 20? Yeah, because if it was $20 and went to 25, that would be a 20% difference. It's actually 15 to 20, so it's more than a 25% difference. So in other words, whatever happened, take 25% away from it. What money you made today, take off 25%. Or in other words, I'm going to go buy something today, it cost me 25% more. I enjoy going across the border to our American neighbors, spending some money in their little stores, but it's costing me 25% more. I'm done. Mexico's currency has taken a dramatic hit from the slump in crude oil. Bubbling crude, that is. Like other emerging market forex pairs, the USD Mexican currency has MXN. Why is it MXN? Hasn't been the place to be over the last past year. Again, recent weakness notwithstanding, and much like what we've seen with the loonie, again our northern neighbors, Canadian dollar, the forex malaise has real implication for people's purchasing decisions. Do you need proof? Look no further than Silva Guerrera's store in Laredo, Texas. Hold on. The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Unless you live down in a border town. and you rely on Mexican people to come over and buy stuff from you. Stars at night are not big and bright. Look no further than Silva Guerrera store in Laredo, Texas, which is on the state side of the Rio Grande. Or Rio Grande, depending on how American you are and you want to say that. As Bloomberg notes, Guerrera sells dresses and colorful rolls of fabric. But these days, the collapsing peso means she'll be out of business by May. As Bloomberg goes on to recount, Sylvia is a poster child for the malaise that accrued from the collapse in oil prices. Her husband lost his job leasing drilling equipment for Weatherford, which is a company, and their daughter, an administrator for... Well, actually, is that a person? Maybe it's a person. Her husband lost his job leasing drilling equipment for Weatherford. I guess it is a company. And their daughter, an administrator for Baker Hughes in San Antonio, was told her position is at risk after more than 700 firings recently at the oil services company. Furthermore, their son, who supervises fracking operations for C&J Energy Services, has seen his paycheck shrink so much he's looking for side work. Earlier this month, Weatherford fired 15%. Earlier this month, it fired 15% of its workforce, or approximately 6,000 people. Guerrera's husband was fired after 16 years at the company. The news hit us like a bomb, she said. Most of the 115 million people who cross into Texas legally from Mexico every year are on shopping expeditions, and by some estimates are responsible for 1 of every 2 retail dollars spent in Laredo. Bloomberg notes, they buy everything from jeans to smartphones to toys. Well, unless the exchange rate crashes, then they don't buy anything at that point. Now with the peso, my customers are not coming in anymore. Kush Samtani, who owns a 27-year-old electronics shop, bemoans. As Bloomberg goes on to note, around a third of Laredo's residents live below the poverty line. Per capita income is less than $16,000. What's different this time is that Laredo is also taking a hit from the bust in the Eagle Ford, one of the fields behind the surge in U.S. oil output in the past half-decade. For those who might have missed it, here's what the situation looks like. And here's a nice chart from the Dallas Fed, if you want to take a gander at that. Those red lines aren't pretty. But that's okay, because Robert Kaplan is on the job. Or is it just Kaplan? And he'll definitely make things right again. Besides, there's nothing wrong in the first place, i.e. there's no struggling financial institutions. Just ask the Dallas Fed, who told Zero Hedge that there's nothing to worry about when it comes to O&G reserves. On second thought, you should worry, at least if you're Sylvia Guerrera, because a surging dollar is going to continue to pressure emerging markets. And thanks to Saudi Arabia and Iran, through no fault of their own, commodity prices are going to remain subdued, as will emerging market forex. In fact, the correlation between emerging markets, forex, and commodities has intensified. So, good luck, Silva. Or JSNIP4 is going to have to say sorry about your luck. Really, it's out of your hands. It's out of your ability to do anything about it. I'm very sad that I have to close my store, she told Bloomberg. And they say, tell it to King Salman. And then maybe see if he'll lend you some gold to cover your bills. Another currency bites the dust. And another one does. And another one does. Another currency bites the dust. And this is interesting, because this is an American company, or not just one, several. And they are being affected by the bordering countries' dollar value. Those people aren't coming in to buy your electronics, your iPhones, whatever you got, for 25% higher of a price because their currency's gone down. You're not going to be selling stuff for the same reason. Not going to happen. There is nothing you can do. You can hope, you can pray, you can ask for a miracle. There is nothing that is coming your way, no matter which one of those choices you try. It is not going to happen. And if I had my magic 8-ball in my car with me, I would shake it and show you the answer. Unless the answer said it was outlook looks good that you might recover. Then I'm going to have to punch a magic 8-ball, throw them out the window. Because that just isn't reality, right? Bottom line, this is a planned event. It's orchestrated. I just read last night that in Europe, the former European Central Bank dude, I don't remember his name right now, is now saying their policies that they've done caused the problem, caused the financial problems of the world in the Eurozone. And he said it would pretty much be very wise for the smaller countries like Greece, the ones who are suffering with massive austerity measures, he says, to just go back to using your own currency. Get out of the euro. The former, again, I think it was a European Central Bank, former dude, said that. Perfectly timed with one of our former central bank bozos, known as Alan Greenspan, who's come out and said that the outlook, he may have got this right off the magic 8-ball. Outlook does not look good. Do you expect it to get better? No, and I haven't for some time, he said. But if you turn on the news right now, markets are up again, everything's good. Numbers are great. Unless you pay attention to the revisions 2 to 3 months later. Numbers are great, jobless up great. 2 months, do you want? Revision. They look terrible. Other numbers, they look great. Economy looks great. Yep. 2, 3 months later, revision. And it never, ever, ever is revised higher and better. How is that possible? The data they keep getting, these government offices, agencies that release this information, the data they keep getting errs to the side of greatness every time. And then have to revise it later. I've got an idea. Don't release the numbers until you do the revision going forward. Because they're terrible and you're lying to the faces of everybody. But what do you expect in a dying empire? Take care.